The Carolina Hurricanes are a bunch of jerks, but they're a bunch of really good jerks. After ending the regular season as one of the very best teams in the East, the Canes went all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals before falling to the Cinderella story that was the Florida Panthers. Now they're back and hungrier than ever with a chance to make a legitimately deep run and possibly add to this franchise's trophy case, and a lot of fans down in Carolina are happy about that. But I am not one of them. Carolina Hurricanes, here's why I hate your stupid fucking team.
I never heard of half of these guys, and the ones I do know are way past their prime. Most of these guys never had a prime. This guy here is dead.
Cross him off then.
Up front, the Hurricanes are very solid, with a first line consisting of stars like Sebastian Aho and Andrei Svechnikov. Complementary top six players like Martin Necas help to balance out a less than stellar supporting cast in the top six of guys like Michael Bunting, Seth Jarvis, and Teuvo Teravainen. Their third line, though, of Jordan Martinook, Jordan Staal, and Jesper Foss is a very solid one, and they have some good skill on the fourth line with Stefan Nosen to go along with the young Jack Drury and the banging Brendan Lemieux. They don't have a lot of incredibly high-skilled guys at the top of their lineup, but it is incredibly deep. They have a lot of good, solid scoring throughout their lineup, and they've got a lot of guys who can play two-way very well. The back end, though, is where the Carolina Hurricanes have just an excess of skill. Jacob Slavin and Brett Burns as the first pairing, Brady Shea and Brett Pesce on the second pairing, and then Tony DeAngelo with Dmitry Orlov on the third pairing. You could honestly mix and match these pairings in any way. I like the way that they have the pairing structured for now because it's a good balance on each pairing of shutdown versus puck movement, but this is an incredibly tough group to play against just because of all of the skill that you're going to face. In goal, you have Freddie Anderson and Antti Ranta, who are two very competent goaltenders, but I wouldn't say either of them are a particularly strong starter. They're both very good, and either of them could play a solid 40-50 games if you ask them to, but I don't think either of them are a high-end starter like a Hellebuck, Sorokin, Ullmark, or Shesterkin. But they are good enough and they have a good enough defense in front of them that Carolina is going to be very stout defensively and limit the number of goals that they give up, which is good because their offense is, quite frankly, a team that relies on the sum of its parts more than having one or two guys who can really punish you.
Anybody got an idea?
Rod Brind'Amour, the former player turned coach, seen here being a James Bond villain come to life. Since taking over behind the bench in 2018, Brind'Amour's led the Canes to a playoff appearance in each of his 5 seasons, and he's led them to 3 straight division championships. In the playoffs, it's been a bit of a mixed bag. He has made it to the conference finals twice, including last year obviously, but his teams haven't been able to get over the hump. They've either run into hot goaltending or been let down by their own. The rumblings may be starting about whether he can get it done come the playoff time, especially with the amount that Carolina has loaded up this offseason. But in truth, Brind'Amour is a very good coach, and he should be in Carolina for a long, long time.
Who the hell are you?
I'm the new guy.
The big acquisition this offseason was Carolina signing Dmitry Orlov to a 2-year deal. One of the best puck-moving defensemen and an incredibly underrated defensive defenseman, Orlov can add some pop to Carolina's power play. They also added Michael Bunting to the top 6 for $4.5 million a year, which is a choice given that he is more of a middle 6 guy than a top 6 guy, but he's also young enough that maybe he can continue to play his way into that contract, and it's for a short enough period of time that if he doesn't, they can move on pretty easily. Brendan Lemieux was also added to the 4th line for some depth, but the other big acquisition was notable for controversial reasons as they added Tony DeAngelo back to the team. Luckily, the Flyers were the ones who really looked like the jackasses out of that situation, so it's not too terrible. He's still 27 and a pretty effective player, but you know, you're also risking the possibility that he tears apart the locker room like Kang the Conqueror, unraveling all of reality.
You gay Irish fireman, you're okay, but you I do not like.
At 2, Dmitry. At 2. I will always love you, Dima, but how could you go to Carolina? You already got your cup, you don't need to bandwagon anymore. I get that they paid you a lot of money for 2 years, but come on, man, I thought you were better than this. That being said, of this group of jerks, Dmitry Orlov's the only guy that I won't get pissed about winning a cup in Carolina. I gotta say, I might come off a little bit bitter as a Caps fan, but in truth, I'm not. Carolina plays into that jerk identity that they've acquired, and it's kind of irritating, to be quite honest. At first it was endearing, but now it's just kind of, I don't know, grating. And it's also kind of annoying how we're clearly your biggest rival, but you can't get over the fact that you're not our biggest rival, or even our 3rd or 4th biggest rival. But yeah, Carolina is going to be a force to be reckoned with once again, and if I'm being objective, they would be my pick to win the Stanley Cup this year, because they are just overall a very well-constructed team without any big glaring weaknesses. They might not be at an A+ at every single spot, but they are not below like a B- or a C anywhere. Also, please stop doing the storm surge. It's so dumb.